All right, next on our list of views to create is interior elevations, and they are created very similarly to exterior elevations. Oh, one thing I want to point out that I forgot to show you when we were doing exterior elevations is if you go back now to your main floor plan, do you see how the head has been filled out? Revit will automatically fill this in for you based on where you place those views. So now it's telling you we placed it on sheet A104 and it's view 3. So if you want to see what this tag is trying to show you, you need to go to A104. So let's go to A104 and we're going to look at view 3. So if we did this right, it will say it's the back view. So view 3, A104. So let's go to 104, look at view 3 right here, and look, it's the back. So you're going to find that interior elevations do the same thing. So just like we did with exterior elevations, we're going to start on the floor plan, and I'm going to hide the crop region. I'm going to crop everything, and then I'm going to hide the crop region. So we're back to how it looked before. And this is inside of our crop region, so we're just going to drag it out till it disappears. And why isn't it disappearing? Let's turn our crop region back on. Oh, okay. So sometimes it doesn't crop things that are 2D. And that could be because if you click on if you just click off of everything and look at the view properties, you can see there's a little setting called annotation crop. If you click that, it will now crop everything that's considered an annotation. That's kind of a 2D element. So it disappeared now. Now we can turn off our crop region. Okay, so here's our main floor plan again. Let's go back to the view tab on the ribbon, and we're going to click elevation again to enter the elevation command. And instead, last time, if you remember, in the properties panel, we clicked building elevation, which is the same thing as an exterior elevation. This time we're going to click interior elevation. And the symbol changes slightly. And depending on your company standards and who you're working for, it may look the same as this or it may look different. Every company has their own symbols for interior versus exterior, but this default template, it has just a slightly different looking interior elevation symbol than the exterior one. So again, now that I'm in the command, you can see when I float around the walls, you can see it automatically changes position on where it's looking. So our goal is to each room needs all 4 walls elevated, typically. And again, it depends on the company you're working for. Some companies want every wall elevated, even if there's nothing on it. Some companies only elevate walls where there's something on it, like maybe a wainscoting or a tile pattern or light fixture or, plumbing fixtures. For this class, I'm going to always make you elevate all of the walls in a room. And when we get to kitchens, I will also make you elevate all 4 sides of an island because we need to be able to see what all of the cabinets look like on an island. So for now, though, we're going to create 3 rooms worth of elevations. So I'm going to click here once. So that places an elevation in this room. I'm going to click here once. And right now, it doesn't matter really which wall it's looking at. I'm going to show you what we're going to do in a second to get all 4 walls. Now this room, I'm just going to click kind of in the middle to get that one. All right, so just like we did with exterior elevations, it's placed the elevation marker. And if you go over here, now there's a new category called elevations. And then in parentheses, it says interior elevations. So now if we click down there, you can see the 3 rooms that we've created. And I'm going to click now on the round part of the elevation. And do you see how it gives you these check marks? It allows you to automatically create the other 3 views in the room. So I'm just going to click that 3 more times. And now do you see how it added all of those views to the list? So now we have an elevation looking at every one of those walls. So I'm going to do that really quickly for all of them. Again, you don't click the arrow part because that will tell you, that shows you the same things when we were doing exterior elevations, it shows you the clipping planes. And that's not what we're trying to get at. We're trying to get at this round marker so that we can add views. So you got to make sure you click the round part. Okay, so now we've got 4 views for each room over here, but now it's a mess over here. So let's just, let's start over here. We're going to do a couple things, and I'll do it slow here, and then we're going to get faster for the other ones. So I'm going to click on the view head, and you can see it's already tried to guess where you want it to crop. And when you do an interior elevation, you usually crop from inside of wall to inside of wall. So it's already done that for you, which is nice. The depth doesn't matter too much. You just want to make sure it's deep enough to capture the wall, the room wall. It doesn't have to be forever deep. I like to keep it only as deep as it needs to be, because when you open the view, even though you may not see stuff behind the wall, Revit is still calculating and generating those elements behind the wall. So it's best for the speed of your computer to crop it only to where you need it. All right, so we see it's cropped as much as we can in plan. The other thing we might do is name it. So as far as naming goes, you typically you'll come over here like we did in the elevation, and we'll name it whatever the room is. So let's just pretend this is a bedroom. So we'll name this bedroom. And we'll just call it, typically you will call it wall, north wall, south wall, east wall, west wall. For this, we'll just call it bedroom wall 1. And then now it's renamed it over here, and now you can tell which elevation is which, rather than have these generic names. So let's get quicker at this. We're going to look at this one, verify that it goes wall to wall, and then let's name it bedroom wall 2. And we're just going to go in a clockwise fashion. Bedroom wall 3 and bedroom wall 4. And again, verifying that the crop region is good. Okay, so now we've made those 4 views and we've named them. Let's go into them, because the last thing we need to do is just make sure that the top and bottom are cropped correctly. So how you would normally crop an interior elevation is you'd put it right on the bottom of the ceiling and the top of the floor. So let's grab the crop region and let's drag it right to the edge of the ceiling. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something before we do this. There is a little command, and I don't even remember where it is. Oh, it's on the View tab. It's called Thin Lines. It's TL is the shortcut on my computer. You can look at the shortcut on your computer, again, by just looking. If you hover over here, this drop down comes down and it shows you in parentheses what the shortcut is. But you can toggle the line weights on and off. So if you've taken CAD, you know that lines, you can give them what's called a weight so that they're thicker or thinner than the other lines in the view. Typically in drafting, we can get into this later, but drafting, when lines are thick, it means you're cutting through them. And when lines are thin, it means you're just looking at an edge. So you can see it's cutting through the floor and it's cutting through the ceiling. That's why they're thicker. But it's confusing because it's sometimes hard when the lines are all thick. I like to turn off the thick lines so that all lines have the same weight. And now I can more precisely see what's going on. So now I'm going to go back to my crop region and I'm going to move this dot down, and it kind of snaps to the bottom of the ceiling, and I'll leave it there. And then I'm going to snap it to the floor as well. There we go. So now we're only looking at that wall, and that's great. Interior elevations may or may not have their levels turned on. I'm going to turn the levels off here. So let's right click and let's hide in view. And remember, we do the category because it will hide all of the levels in the view. So let's do category. And let's do the same thing with the reference plane, but this time we'll do it a different way. If you remember, if you click off of everything in the view and you go to the view properties and you hit Visibility Graphics Override, you can open this box. And we can go to Reference Planes, which is an annotation item. So we'll jump down to the R's. And it says Reference Plane. Let's uncheck that box. That's the longer way of doing it, but it's always good for me to remind you there's two ways of doing it. I'm also going to teach you another principle right now that I think is good to learn because it will save you time. So now that you've got this view the way you like it, as far as the visibility graphics goes, like what's hidden and what's not hidden, and we've set up how we like the view to look. You know, right now we've got it in hidden lines. We've set the scale to 1/4 inch. Now we can save all these settings so that we don't have to keep applying them to the new views. So how you do that is what's called a view template. So we're going to set up a view template. So right now, if you look, we're on bedroom wall 1. If you right click on that, it'll allow you to create a view template from this view. So you first set the view how you want it to look. Then we create a view template from the view. So we're just going to name the template. We'll call it interior elevation. Okay, click OK. Now it brings up this dialog box. And this is where you can control all the things in the view template. This probably warrants a whole nother video, and it's probably outside the scope of this class. You should simply know a couple things. One, that view templates exist and they will help save you time. And you can go through all of these settings if you want. And but really, if you just remember to set your settings how you want it before you make the view template, then all you have to do at this step after you've named it is click OK. All right, so let me show you how that works on the next view. Oh, before we go, we now need to apply this view template to this view. So again, if you don't click anything, if there's nothing selected, you go over to the view properties. And if you look over here under identity data, there's a parameter or a setting called view template. Right now it says none. If you click that, you can look at the list of view templates. And this the main project template that we've been using, the default template, you can see it already has view templates listed here. If you're working for someone, they will likely have view templates already made, but we're just going to look for the one we created. And we know which one's ours because we remember we named it interior elevations and we did it in all, or I did it in all capital letters. So you're just going to select that and click OK, and it will now assign the view template to this view. So now if you ever need to make changes, you can change the view template and it will change, it'll make those same changes to any view that you've assigned the view template to. So hopefully that's not confusing, but I'll show you and it will make more sense. So we've done one interior elevation so far. So let's get in there and do more. So we did this one already. I believe that's the one we were doing. Yep. So let's do this one next. Let's double click on it. Let's find the top and the bottom. So we want it right on the bottom of the ceiling and we want it right on the bottom of the floor. Okay, but now we need to hide the reference plane and we need to hide this floor level. So we could do that manually and we have to make two different commands, or we can just go over here to the view settings, come down here where it says view template, and we'll just assign it the interior elevation template and click OK. And do you see how it applied the same settings that we did on that first one? It applied it to this one. So let's do that. Now, with that in mind, you don't have to do each view one by one. Now I can come over here, I can select the first one and I can hold Shift down. Oops. Just highlight the first one, hold down Shift and click on the last one, and it will highlight all of them. So now if you go over here, it's showing you the view properties for all of the views that we've selected. So now over here, we can click on View Template and we can assign the interior elevations to all of those views. So now if I click on any of these views, you can see that the level is not showing and the reference planes aren't showing. So that will save you a ton of time knowing that. Okay, so we still unfortunately, it doesn't know how to crop anything based on the view template. So you still have to come in and correct the crop regions. So let's do this last one. This one, oh, this is the one we started with, I think. So did we do all four? I think we did. Oh no, we didn't do this one. So it does a pretty good job at cropping at the ceiling, but it doesn't quite get the floor right. All right, so what you would do is, for practice, if you'd like, you can do these other four and these four here. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm not going to make you watch me do it. And then once I have these done, I'll show you how to sheet them. All right, so now I've gone through and I have named all my views and I have cropped them down correctly. One more thing occurred to me that could happen to you is when you look at your elevations, depending on how you made them, or maybe you made them and then you made some changes to the walls and maybe it's cutting, the front and back planes are now in the wrong spot. You can always click on the arrowhead and you can drag around the front view and the back view in case you ever needed to, in case it was floating off in space, or maybe it was cutting a wall open and you didn't know what was going on. Because if we went in this view now, it's not quite right, because now it's looking through the wall in the wrong room. So you can always pull it back if you need to. Or sometimes what happens is there's a bunch of furniture in the middle of the room. And so when you look at the elevation, there's furniture in your way and you're trying to look at this wall. So you can always move this so that it's now behind the furniture. So if the furniture's over here, it's no longer showing the furniture. You can crop the furniture out and you're just looking at that wall. So it's often necessary to come in and you need to move the front and the back planes even after you've set the view up. All right, so now let's put them on a sheet. We're going to go down to our sheets. We're going to click New Sheet. We're going to select 30 by 42. As always, we're going to fill out the title block. These will be interior elevations. And actually, that's how you would start it, but we might not be able to fit all of our interior elevations on one sheet. Typically, what you like to do is you say interior elevations, and then you'll describe what ones are on the sheet. So I might put like bedroom. And in this case, the text is so big. Let's just leave it at interior elevations. In a professional environment, you'd fix this. This is way too big of text to be in the description, but we'll talk about editing title blocks later. So I'm going to fill out my title block, UW. All right, verify the numbers correct. For us, it's fine. We're just going in numerical order. So now it's the same as you did for the other elevations. You're gonna go in order. You pick the wall and then you pick the wall next to it, right? Like you're spinning in a circle. You don't want to randomly place different views in different places. So we're going to start with the bathroom and we're going to put it there. There's wall 1. Wall 2 is next. Then wall 3. And then wall 4. Like that. All right. And then I like to typically start a new line. I wouldn't stack, because it's a whole new room, I'm going to go on a new line. So we'll do what I called the bedroom. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And sometimes you can't fit them all on one line, so you group them. You do 2 on one line and the other 2 on the next line, or whatever will fit. You just go in order, though. The important thing is to go in order as if you're looking around the room so that it makes sense to the person reading it. Oh, and see, this one's not going to fit. It's too big. So I'm just going to, for visibility reasons, I'm going to take both of these onto their own line because that looks cleaner than maybe having one here and then just one here. And then the other thing I might do is, now that I know this fits on a sheet, I'll arrange the sheet so it looks visually a little bit better. We'll try to balance the sheet out so we don't have big white spots. And then we'll try to center everything. Now this is a subjective thing to do, but Each employer will have their way of arranging these, but I like to at least take a moment to make the sheet look nice. And then you haven't learned how to draw lines yet, so I'm just going to show you here. You can go up to the Annotate tab, and there's something called a detail line. If you click on that, it'll allow you to draw a line between the different rooms. So I like to do that as well. So now the user knows, and then I space, and then I'll center everything nicely. So now when someone looks at that, they can kind of see, oh, here's one room, here's another room, and here's another room. It's a nice way of looking at your interior elevations. Okay, so that's how you do interior elevations. Right now, these are very boring because we haven't put any finishes on the inside. There's no furniture. There's hardly any windows. They will get more interesting the more things we put in our model. But it's important that you know now how to create the views. And then as we add stuff to the model, it will automatically start to show up in your elevations. All right, good luck. We'll see you in the next video.